You're listening to Talkline with Zev Brenner, America's premier Jewish broadcast on the air since 1981.
And now, here's your host.
Welcome back to the program, Mom. Zev Brenner. We're about to celebrate, and we're celebrating a new year and the holidays and with our holiday festivities and fine foods and wines. But at the same time, we have to be paying attention, be cognizant of the fact there are many, many thousands upon thousands of people in Israel that are having difficulty putting proper foods and wines on their tables, whether it's due to the pandemic, which has ended, or due to other economic factors. It certainly is a fact in Israel. So to Israel we go, and it's a tradition. Mimi Rozmaryn joins us, Director of Global Development for Meir Panim Relief Centers, and Rena Ben-Ezra is Director of Special Project for American Friends of Meir Panim. Good to speak to both of you. Welcome.
Thank you.
So let me begin. I was reading an article online. I get so much information that's sent to me. It's not a joke. But according to the latest article is that poverty has gone up in Israel. There are a lot of people that are having difficulty putting food on their table. So perhaps you can tell us exactly what is going on.
Yeah, absolutely, Zev. So you're correct. And I think the crazy thing is that, especially outside of Israel, a lot of people don't realize how bad the issue of poverty is. And I think, we all know with COVID in the last few years and different issues that it's definitely been an issue, but I don't think people quite understand to what extent. And it's crazy that since 2020, poverty has almost doubled in Israel from 14.8% to 27.6% currently, which is just crazy. And
it's almost a third of the population. That's a crazy number.
It really is. That's equal to 2.5 million Israelis living in poverty today.
That's a shocking number. Wow. So, Mimi, I know when we spoke about during the pandemic and there were difficulties and people had problems due to the pandemic, officially it's over. I think in Israel and here, right? That's what they say. It's officially over. So I'm hoping that they're correct. We don't want it, God forbid, to come back again. But what are the residues when it comes to people's economic plight? And Rena was just giving us information about the statistics. It's a shocking number, 2.5 million Israelis under the poverty line. So a group like Meir Panim, which is a good time for you to tell our audience exactly what Meir Panim does, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, during the pandemic, to help people. But if 2.5 million Israelis are below the poverty line, that's a shocking number, and I'm sure it makes your work more difficult.
Absolutely. So just to give your listeners a bit of a broad picture, Meir Panim is a network of soup kitchen and relief centers. We like to call them restaurant-style soup kitchens because we don't want people to feel like they're coming in for a handout. We want them to feel like they're being served with dignity and respect. And we operate in 5 different locations around the country. So we have been on the front lines of the COVID pandemic. And now, as you mentioned, we're not in a state of emergency anymore with the health crisis. But as you alluded to, and as the numbers share, we are seeing what we're calling in our work the new normal, which is double to triple the number of people coming in that are needing help, needing food assistance, not able to pay their rent, and coming to us so they have the option of at least being able to take care of their nutritional needs. And coupled with the rising costs of food throughout the world, but specifically in Israel, we're seeing our needs increase more than ever.
Bless you. So basically speaking, what you're saying, Mimi, you said it's not really the same kind of crisis than during the pandemic. To me, forgive me if I'm wrong, yes, in the pandemic was a serious situation where people lost their lives, and it was horrible. People couldn't see each other and be with each other, be with loved ones, and all kinds of psychological problems have become because of it. But it seems to me that if 2.5 million Israelis are below the poverty line, it is a major crisis.
It is. It is a major crisis, and we're considering it, at least for the year or two to come, our new normal, where a branch used to see 200 to 300 patrons a day is now seeing 800 patrons a day. And so while we're not in a state of crisis in that we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, we don't know if there's going to be a lockdown, we don't know if someone's going to go into quarantine. We know what to expect and we know what's out there, but we are in a state where we just know that there are dramatically more people that have come to us in need.
That's certainly so important. Now, Rosh Hashanah time, holiday time, is always a time where I would assume probably Pesach, Passover is probably the biggest time of year, but Rosh Hashanah is probably the second one behind it, where more people who ordinarily wouldn't come to you to help during the rest of the year, but because holiday time, the costs of food always go higher, at least in America. I'm sure in Israel it gets higher holiday time, and you need more foods and you have family coming over. So more people are relying on you. So give us some idea number-wise, what does it mean, and if inflation is affecting what you can buy. So it puts an extra strain on Meir Panim to deal with from a financial perspective to feed more people with the dollar, or I should say the shekel,
Yeah,
buy as much as they used to buy.
absolutely. I think one thing when we think about in here in Israel for the Jewish holidays, in particular, Rosh Hashanah, is that we see in our branches and in the streets that there are people that are in this financial position where they're choosing whether they can make the holiday and do the meals and make it beautiful or pay their rent. So what Meir Panim is doing this time of year for Rosh Hashanah right now is we're really trying to take the burden of the extra cost of making a beautiful holiday off of our communities, so that we have the opportunity to give them a holiday, because otherwise they would just say, like, I'm just skipping Rosh Hashanah at all. I'm just going to have like whatever the Israeli equivalent, would be of like peanut butter and jelly. Let's say pizza and tahina sandwiches. Exactly. And we're giving them the opportunity to celebrate the holiday and see really a joyful celebratory time where otherwise they would be feeling negative and left out of the country celebration. Because as you know, that you've been here before Chagim, the atmosphere is electric. Every store has displays, and if you don't have the financial means in order to make that happen for you and your family and loved ones, it's really painful.
So what happens? Meir Panim actually goes ahead and delivers packages, food to homes based on what they need.
Absolutely. So this year is actually incredible because as we were talking about the poverty rate, we're expecting this to be our largest Rosh Hashanah ever, even more than in the pandemic. We're planning on taking care of about 15,000 families this Rosh Hashanah, and that's providing over 25,000 meals. We're also providing these holiday baskets full of pantry staples and fresh produce. And the third thing we're doing is providing grocery shopping carts so that people could go to the grocery store, feel dignity, purchase the things that are special to them or they have traditions in their family. So we're doing those three things together to help our communities in need really feel whole and a part of our countries and our faith amazing traditions.
As you were speaking, it just occurred to me, and you mentioned fruits and vegetables. We're coming off a Shemitah year, which itself creates all kinds of problems, which, aside from the price going up and the quality goes down because of what you're able to get.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. So how's that affecting Meir Panim Shemitah? It's the end of the Shemitah year, but you're still buying in the Shemitah year.
Absolutely. So we are so blessed because a tremendous portion of our produce throughout our branches in the country come donated through Leket Israel, an incredible partner of ours, which we are really thrilled to have. But also we have relationships with farmers in each of our communities that donate, bring things over to us. Yes, there's definitely less variety than other years. Certainly, this has been a challenging year. This is our first year since moving to Israel. That's a Shemitah year, and it's been an abundance of learning halachot for ourselves and understanding all the nuances. But we are committed at Meir Panim to continuing to provide the fresh, beautiful produce to our patrons no matter what year it is. And we have incredible partners and resources in our communities that help us make that happen.
Zev, I was actually fortunate enough this past Pesach to be able to go and visit our branches. And when I saw the food that they were making from these kitchens, it was honestly breathtaking. Like, it was meals that any person would want to like sit down to and enjoy. And it's like abundant and fresh and filling and really beautiful.
Didn't you have a chef prepare some of the foods? If I remember correctly, in past shows, you had really top-notch chefs that went to the Meir Panim kitchens and were cooking. Are they still cooking?
Yes. And one thing that we have changed from before the pandemic in our state of new normal with all of the rising costs and everything you mentioned, Zev, is previously, I would say previous to 2020, when we would have these big holidays that we would be distributing tens of thousands of meals, we would get them catered. And our branches have turned over to cooking all of the meals for our patrons to save costs in our budget and to help bridge that gap.
We're looking at Meir Panim. They do amazing work in Israel throughout the year, but come Rosh Hashanah time, come holiday time, they really go into full combat action.
Seriously.
Serious combat action.
Yes.
Mimi Rozmaryn is our guest director of global development for Meir Panim Relief Centers in Israel. Rena Ben-Ezra is director of special projects, American Friends of Meir Panim. It is a battle getting out there, and part of the battle is you have to buy food and get it donated and make sure it gets distributed. So let me ask you, Rena, statistic-wise, financially, how has that happened? Because money is not worth the same as it used to be. Prices have gone up. It's hard to get things. There's global supply issues all over the world. You're getting items. You have more people that are looking to use services such as Meir Panim. 2.5 million Israelis are under the poverty line. So financially, how does Meir Panim put up where they're serving more people, but yet the shekel stretches less than it used to be?
So it's definitely a struggle. And in the last few years, it has been a strain on our budget. But something that we take great pride in is that we are determined, no matter the challenges that come our way, no matter the unpredictabilities throughout the pandemic and having to shift to preparing everything ourselves, we have met the demand and we have been serving our clients' needs and feeding more people. And like you said, it does take a strain on our budget. So our goal is also to kind of broadcast this abroad and share with people outside of Israel what these challenges are and how they can help and make a difference. And we have seen a wonderful response so far, but it always takes more. And that's why right now we're in the midst of our High Holidays campaign to kind of really bring to life everything that Mimi has described and make sure that every Israeli in need can celebrate the holiday with dignity.
So how has fundraising been affected? Let's look at the United States, because we are not officially in a recession here, but they keep using the R word, recession, where certainly inflation is growing. People have less money to spend. There are more issues and people have to deal with here from a financial point of view. So how has that affected, or has it affected fundraising for Meir Panim?
It's kind of a double-edged sword. I think that sometimes people are more like their hands are tied during these times and what they can give is maybe smaller. But I think also in times of crisis, it also puts things in perspective for a lot of people. And I think people can truly understand what it is to kind of be in this mode of need. And I think it almost resonates with our community about, like, you know, what your own personal struggles might be, but then on a different level, what someone else's struggles might be. And we have seen responses from our community, and we're very grateful for that. And people just, you know, giving what you can makes a big difference. And I think a lot of the times you think, like, what does my donation truly do? And even $5, $10, $25 can help feed, give a meal to someone who otherwise wouldn't have food, which, as Mimi was talking about before, relieves this pressure so that they can then pay rent or buy their kids' school supplies, and is a chain effect in changing someone's life.
So important. This would be a good time. We'll do it at the end. Where can people contact Meir Panim to contribute, to learn more, to be part of feeding Israel on the Jewish holidays of Rosh Hashanah and Sukkot?
Absolutely. If anyone wants to join us in helping feed Israel's needy this these high holidays, they can visit www.mpdonate.org, or they can also call us at 1-877-DONATE, which is also 1-877-736-6283.
It's so important everybody can help out, because as we celebrate our own holiday, we should also include our brothers and sisters in Israel when not as fortunate as we are, don't have the same kind of provisions that we have. We've been stressing the food, but Meir Panim does a lot more than food. And obviously, holiday time, certainly food is a major concern. What are some of the other services that Meir Panim provides year-round, but also during this holiday season?
Absolutely. So in our Dimona Center in the South, we actually have a daycare program for our Holocaust survivors, where a group of Holocaust survivors come in every day from 8:30 in the morning till 1:30, receive a hot breakfast and a hot lunch, and community activities, sports. They're even doing Hebrew classes now, because many of them came from Russian-speaking countries and never had the ability to learn Hebrew.
What about Yiddish classes? No Yiddish classes?
You know what? They're not such big Yiddish speakers. I know a tiny bit of Yiddish from my grandparents, and it's a non-starter. They're mostly really Russian speakers. But we also run after-school centers in several of our locations. And in general, Zev, I think one thing that Rena saw when she was actually here in Israel in April was that Meir Panim centers really become community centers for the people that are in need. So our branch managers welcome them in. They are a place where they can come and really have Meir Panim brighten their face, be greeted, be part of a family. And in general, our branch managers try to provide them with anything they need to make their lives whole, which outside of just food. So recently I was in our location in Or Akiva, which is really close to the beach town of Caesarea. And I met a woman named Masha, who is a Ukrainian refugee, who we haven't even talked about Ukrainian refugees and how many we're seeing in our centers, in our branches. And Masha had come to Israel as a refugee with her son, Mark. Her husband is between the 18 and 61 range, so he can't leave the Ukraine right now. And she came. She doesn't speak Hebrew. She speaks beautiful English. And she came to our center. She was referred to through the Ministry of Welfare. And she came, and our branch manager, Ilanit, gave her not only a tremendous amount of fruits and vegetables and cooked food, she also gave her like a granny cart to help her bring it to her home. And they had a Russian-speaking volunteer on hand to help her understand how to register her son, Mark, for preschool. So it's really, for her, she was just so grateful that there were people in her native tongue that she was able to connect with. And she had this feeling, and you can see this like calmness that came over her, like, we got you. You know, this is not just like a basic service. Here's a form. This is like, oh my goodness, you got this form. Let's sit down and help you fill it out. This is where the closest preschool is. This is where you're going to take your son. This is the name of the teacher. This is someone that speaks Russian that can help you figure out all these details. And I think our aim is to take care of every person that comes in the door in that way, to help them get that next level, not just getting their basic needs met, but really going with dignity, respect, treating them like they're a part of our family.
You know, you mentioned Ukraine, and that's so important because people don't realize when people fled Ukraine, they're not going with their household goods and their clothes and their money. They're coming really without anything to Israel. So they're starting from scratch. They need furniture, they need apartments, they need food, they need a job, they need so many different things. So how is Meir Panim helping some of these Ukrainian individuals that are coming? I know there are quite a bit that have come from Ukraine, right?
Yes. I think that's such a great question. And as someone that moved to Israel just about 5 years ago, I think all the time about how blessed we were in so many situations in our moving to Israel and how difficult it was nonetheless. I moved from Maryland after growing up in Manhattan in your neighborhood. As we've discussed before, my husband and I with our 3 boys made Aliyah from Maryland. And we sold our house, we sold our cars, we put our things on a container, shipped them over here. My husband came and transferred his job and was able to continue working remotely. And I think about these refugees from Ukraine who are not only not coming after having the ability to sell their homes and their cars and take care of all that administrative work, they're coming without their husbands and their fathers. And it is just so humbling to watch them and to know that Meir Panim and I am a part of their rehabilitation. We're in this country, the number, I think we all have, I think the statistics I saw yesterday was 400,000 refugees from the former Soviet Union, Ukraine, the whole region. And at Meir Panim branches nationwide, we're seeing about 300 to 400 additional new faces from that region.
Which is a lot.
Mm-hmm. It is a lot.
What about psychological issues? Because lots of time, whether it's from Ukraine or people who lost their job, they had everything and now they got to appeal to Meir Panim. I'm sure it takes a psychological toll. Certainly the pandemic did. How is Meir Panim dealing with those psychological issues?
It's such a loaded question, and it's so hard to watch, especially people that used to be donors to Meir Panim that have needed to come in and come to us for help. You mentioned that amazing chef that volunteers with us, and he had a restaurant. He was the chef of a restaurant, and unfortunately, with all the lockdowns, they couldn't make it work to stay open, and they had to close the restaurant over time. And the depression is so strong, and especially, Israeli sovereign men, they're really givers, they're men. So it takes a huge toll on them emotionally. I think what we are grateful for is that in each of our municipalities where we have a location, we have great relationships with the Ministry of Health and Welfare. So as I was saying that in the Or Akiva with Masha and her son, they were able to refer her to Meir Panim. And when we see situations arising that are really outside our area of expertise, we have the connections and the know-how to refer them back to get that help they need for the support emotionally.
No, I guess that people come to you, they say, I have a problem. So they'll come, they know they can come to Meir Panim. And if you don't have the exact resource on hand, you'll know where to direct them, where they can get help, whatever it might be.
Yes, one thing we've actually seen, Zev, is people come in and say they're coming in because they want to volunteer. And then at the shift, they're like, oh, well, this looks good. I'll take some of this home. And we've come to learn that a lot of people that come in and say they want to volunteer are coming in because they have so much pride and they don't feel comfortable just taking a handout, a help from us, that they come in and volunteer and they actually are people that are really in need and we're able to take care of them in that way.
How many of those are coming in as say they're volunteers? You must have some incredible stories about that, right?
Tons. I would say in terms of the volunteers, Meir Panim is so blessed. We have about 3,000 volunteers annually, which includes everyone from Israeli school children that come in on a regular basis to individuals, people celebrating bar mitzvahs that come from outside of Israel, people coming in on their family vacations that want to take a day of service, which is beautiful and amazing to be a part of. But we do see a lot of the people that come in locally in need, just on a regular weekday. We are able to learn over time that they are someone that's both on the giving end and on the receiving end.
Do you have a situation that you started mentioning where somebody comes from America, so, instead of having a bar mitzvah in a fancy place in New Rochelle or wherever it might be, I want to do the bar mitzvah in Israel at Meir Panim and incorporate some of those individuals who need help as part of bar mitzvah. Is that something which happens regularly or often?
I love that idea. I love it so much. I think we see less of that, and we see more of people that are saying that I want to come to Israel on a bar mitzvah trip, and I want to add, imbue some volunteering and chesed into my child or my bar mitzvah, and they'll plan to fundraise for Meir Panim as part of a bar mitzvah project, raise money, all kinds of things, and then they'll come in to see the labor of the love that they've put into our work, and they'll come in and they'll volunteer or they'll do a site visit. Rena has created a beautiful part of our website that features lots of opportunities to integrate acts of community service with Meir Panim into these milestone events, actually.
So maybe what I'm saying is taking it a step further. Maybe have the actual bar mitzvah in a Meir Panim center, and maybe work out where you can get maybe some of that chef who's excellent can cook the food. You can make a whole big industry out of it. Bar mitzvah.
Absolutely. If any of your listeners would like to host a bar bat mitzvah at any of our branches nationwide, I will be happy to host you and connect you with the best vendors to make that happen.
Oh, it's a good fundraising, but maybe put a meaning into the bar mitzvah. Maybe more
Absolutely.
less bar. Okay.
I love it. Zev, you're in the wrong field. You need to come join us.
All right. This would be a great idea. Have a bar mitzvah.
Yes.
And it could be cheaper than doing it something, and this be more meaningful knowing that people
Absolutely.
and you can have a celebration. So just throwing out an idea, which I expect to be implemented very soon. The bar
I
mitzvah
love it.
to Israel. Now that
Yes.
people can travel to Israel again. So
Yes, I mean.
Anyway, I can't believe how fast time has gone, and Rosh Hashanah and the holidays are here, and it's a time where we have to be involved and help our brothers and sisters in Israel. So let's give out the information again where people can participate, be part of Meir Panim, bringing light to people who need help during this time of year and beyond.
Yes, you can go online to www.mpdonate.org, or you can give us a call at 1-877-DONATE. That's 1-877-7-DONATE.
That's 718-777 donate. Don't forget
Yes.
the 7. The extra
Yes,
7
3
is
7.
right. 3 7s to give extra bracha, because 7 is the 7 days of the week. Anyway, I want to thank you, Mimi Rozmaryn, Director of Global Development for Meir Panim Relief Centers, and Rena Ben-Ezra, Director of Special Projects. She's based here in America at the American Friends of Meir Panim, doing outstanding work, not just Rosh Hashanah, not just Hanukkah, Purim, and Pesach, but 365 days a year. People in Israel are benefiting from the work of Meir Panim. And as you heard, the shocking number, 2.5 million Israelis below the poverty line, and Meir Panim is giving out 25,000 meals, not even scratching the surface of what they can do if they had the more funding, but 25,000 meals is still a major milestone that people are going to benefit at this Rosh Hashanah Sukkot season. So thank you for all that you're doing. Continued success, and you should have a Shana Tova Meduka, a good sweet New Year, and continued success, helping as many people as you possibly can.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Zev.
Thanks for listening.
For continuous Jewish programs, TalklineNetwork.com, or our 24-hour-a-day listen line at 641-741-0389. For past shows, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, Instagram, and all major podcast platforms, or jewishpodcast.org. Thanks for listening to the TalklineNetwork.com.